Going into his final game of the 2020-2021 season against the Golden State Warriors, Zion was on an impressive run. He was an all-star this year and was having one of the best sophomore seasons we have ever seen. So when you put up a double-double with 7 assists to go along with it, nobody was surprised. These numbers were consistent all throughout the season. And at this point, everyone was just in awe about how dominant he was at such a young age. He was shut down for the rest of the season because the Pels weren't really in contention for a playoff spot, so they didn't want to risk an injury to him. But it was a phenomenal ending to a season that was already entering the levels of all time, and he was primed for a huge junior campaign. That was until this happened. When it was announced that Zion would be sidelined for the beginning of the season due to a foot injury he suffered during the workout, the media went into a frenzy. But GM David Griffin reassured everyone he would be ready eventually, and everything calmed down. But fast forward to December, now it's reported Zion won't even be able to participate in basketball activities for an extended amount of time. Everyone kind of went a little wild again. This injury all but confirmed the ending of Zion's season, one that really never started if we're being real. And in this time frame, it got crazy. Multiple reports came out about Zion not being happy in New Orleans. He reportedly wasn't rehabbing with the team. And to make matters even worse, when they traded for guard CJ McCollum, CJ said Zion hadn't even contacted him yet. That's very weird considering this is supposed to be your franchise player. And as of this moment, the hate for Zion was at an all-time high. Kind of seemed like it was Zion versus the world. But then this video came out.
Instagram account.
And once these surfaced on the internet, the consensus around Zion started to change a little bit. Now, as you can expect, Zion heard all of this noise and he wasn't pleased at all. When he signed a rookie max extension, they held a press conference. And in this press conference, he had this to say.
A few months were a roller coaster of emotions. I felt it the most for my family. Because at the beginning of the season, I told the world, if y'all ever want to know if I want to be here, just ask me. And instead of asking me, the world just ran with narratives. And so when my family was going out in public, they're getting harassed by people on why we don't like New Orleans or why I don't want to be here when that's not the case at all. My foot was, I wasn't able to play because my foot was broke. So that sucked. Every time I check my phone, it's always something negative. Even when you're trying to make positive of the situation, it was very tough. So it was a roller coaster for sure, but my family, Pels, Miss Benson, they were always there.
Now, coming into the season, especially after what transpired last season between the reports and rehab and everything, Zion's starting to have a lot of hype around him. We saw what he did his second year, and I mean, he has to get better, right? Some have even thrown his name into the MVP race. I know, sounds crazy, but it isn't as wild as you might think. Let me break it down to you. So, in order to win the MVP, we know there are 3 things that have to go your way: numbers, narrative, and the team. So, let's dive into the first thing. Numbers. Now, obviously, in order to be even considered as an MVP candidate, you have to put up phenomenal numbers that separate you from the rest. There is no doubt in my mind that Zion will have no problem doing this. I mean, have we forgotten what he did the last time he was on the NBA court? How dominant he was? In the 61 games he played during the 2020-2021 season, Zion averaged 27 points per game, 7.1 rebounds per game, and 3.2 assists per game on an absurd 61% from the field. Quick question, do you know how many players outside of Zion have been able to average 27 points per game on at least 60% field goal percentage outside of him? No one. Not Shaq, not Giannis. No one had ever done this until Zion. It's remarkable how at the young age of 21, he was able to place himself into a class of his own. But if you've seen him play, this should be no surprise. He is arguably the most dominant interior presence in the NBA. His combination of size, skill, and athleticism is generational. He's remarkable at drawing and finishing through contact. This makes him virtually unguardable. And mind you, he did all of this in just his second season. Now, of course, it's not just scoring that matters when it comes to the MVP race. You have to be able to impact the game significantly in a multitude of ways. So, what are the ways does Zion impact the game? The answer is simple. Playmaking. The Pels will let Zion become the primary ball handler at times, and in these moments, he was impressive. When Zion was the pick and roll ball handler in 2020, he averaged 0.99 points per possession, the 6th best efficiency among all fours in the NBA. This is not only due to his scoring. He is masterful at using his interior scoring gravity to force defenses to collapse on him, which in turn creates open looks for his teammate. Something very vital in the most perimeter-centric era of the NBA. This is smart. Defenses are scared of Zion. They'll pack the paint, and Zion will use this to his advantage. This is very crucial for young players, and the fact that Zion is able to recognize and take advantage of this at such a young age is extremely impressive. Now that we have numbers out the way, let's focus on the second thing, narrative. This is an award that the media votes on, and we all know what the media loves. A good old narrative. As much as we like to dismiss it, narrative is a huge piece in voting for an MVP. For Steph, it was, oh my gosh, he's the best player on the best regular season team of all time. For Russ, it was, he's averaging a triple-double and his team sucks. So obviously, narrative is a huge deal to the media. Now, I think it goes without saying, Zion has this in the bag. I mean, just think about it. Let me paint this picture for you. A young superstar has the ability to take a franchise places that even Anthony Davis couldn't. Everything was against Zion. Multiple reports about him not wanting to be there. He could have been overweight. And as blasphemous as it is, people were beginning to float the bust label around his name. This, combined with New Orleans being a small market team, just creates the perfect storm for Zion to, at minimum, solidify himself as an MVP candidate. So yeah, Zion won't struggle in this aspect either. So we know without a doubt, Zion will have the numbers and the narrative in the bag. But these aren't the only things that matter. Bradley Beal averaged 31 one year, and his team sucked as well, but he wasn't even considered an MVP candidate. Why? Because he plays for the Wizards. So, is Zion's team good enough to assist Zion to become an MVP candidate? Let's see. In the past 10 years, only 2 players have secured the MVP award without having a top 5 seed in their conference. So, do the Pelicans have a team capable of being a top 5 seed in the loaded West? I'd say so. They have a phenomenal squad this year. B.I. is the perfect complementary piece to Zion. He is masterful at scoring the ball using his length and array of moves to get buckets however he chooses. But he also is an elite playmaker as well. It often gets overlooked due to his early label as a scorer, but he's actually a pretty great playmaker. He has phenomenal split-second decision-making and consistently gives his teammates high-percentage shots. This, along with the pressure he's going to take off Zion, is the perfect storm. But he's not the only one. CJ is another piece that would fit perfectly next to Zion, similar to how B.I. will. He can score his array of moves, but he can also play make and get Zion the ball when needed to. But obviously, these aren't the only players the Pels have. What about their role players? I'd say this is a phenomenal supporting cast as well. Between Alvarado, Herb, and others, they should be good on both sides of the ball. Their defense should be good enough, passable at bare minimum, with Alvarado and Jones harassing people on the perimeter and Valanciunas in the paint. And on offense, they are tremendous cutters, as all of them average over a point per possession when it comes to cutting off ball. Perfect for Zion. And remember, this is the same team that took the number 1 seed in the West to 7 games. And now they're adding a generational talent to that roster this season. But of course, at the end of the day, it's all in Zion's hands. If he can remind some of the NBA fans how dominant he is while staying healthy, he'll be fine. This could be the year that he takes that long-awaited step into superstardom, and he could cement himself in the NBA and all around the league by becoming the youngest NBA MVP since Derrick Rose a decade ago. But what do you think? Despite everything I just mentioned, are you still a believer that Zion isn't quite ready for that superstar leap yet? Or are you in the camp that is a firm believer in Zion taking that leap into superstardom this season? If you liked the video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up below and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to hear more of my opinions that I won't post here, check out the links in the description. And until next time, peace.